Let's get a look at these burgers.
So let's get a look at burgers.
What do we have too? Like, I know you have to open them up.
For you.
What's the spicy double? Classic double. Bacon double. Heavy meal.
All right, we've got some scorching tenders, Brussels sprouts, tater tots, got some scorching fries.
Cool. Is that
that's
the smash?
Chicken smash.
I'm excited
yes,
to
I'm
try
excited
that.
for you to try that.
Okay. All right, we are in Denver, Colorado. We're at the Smashburger headquarters here in downtown Denver. And we are going to be talking to their CEO, Denise Nelsen. She's 1 year into the job. She was a VP at Starbucks, and she worked there for 25 years. She started as a barista, and now she's the CEO of Smashburger. And they have over 200 locations. They're in 33 states, and they're in 6 different countries. So it's an amazing journey she's had. My name is William Salvi. This is the CEO series, where we have real conversations with real CEOs. Let's go talk to Denise. Well, actually, I'm gonna eat this burger first. We are with the CEO of Smashburger, Denise Nelsen. Denise, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
My first question is, I saw on your LinkedIn that you started as a barista at Starbucks.
I did.
And now you're the CEO of Smashburger.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your backstory and just how that evolved.
I think if I went all the way into my backstory, like growing up, I really thought of myself as an athlete. Most of high school, I was really focused that I'd go away to school on a sports scholarship. I got hurt, ended up going to school closer to home, and was putting myself through college by working at like this entertainment concept, was a manager, director of training, and then also getting my degree in HR and marketing. And I grew up around Chicago, just like you. And I started going on interviews, and I was like, I don't want to work in an office. I actually like to lead people. I think maybe I want to be in it.
Yeah.
And so then I knew I needed to think about that. So I needed insurance, and I was like, I'm going to take 6 months to figure this out at Starbucks. And thankfully, I had this amazing district manager that was like, you should think about this as a career. I got to be a part of growing a brand and really leading like Starbucks during a time where we were opening in markets and customers would come in and go, what is this? They'd never heard of it. And then, I grew up into like multi-unit management, had the chance to do some support roles. And I think the combination of having really incredible leaders and mentors along the way and being willing to like take on new experiences and new roles and things I knew nothing about just created like a learning space for me across 25 years that I'm forever grateful for, and I think helped me end up here today.
How often do you, and be honest, you're the CEO, how often do you have Smashburger?
At least once a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you guys get it catered here, or do you go to a store?
Sometimes we have it catered here, but I go to a store quite a bit.
Do you go incognito, or you walk in CEO hat on?
It's a little harder to be incognito these days. We're not that big of a company, and they've all had lots of opportunities to meet me lately.
So it sounds like you took each opportunity as it came and you did well, so you sought out the next opportunity. But did you have any moment within those 25 years or so where you were actively wanting to be like an executive or a CEO role in a company?
It was actually the first time I went to Seattle to work. I had the most incredible leader. He really sat down with me and said, I think you're at the point in your career where you can't just think about what opportunity might be next. You actually have to think about what's the job you're going to retire from, and like, who do you want to be? And that was a really tough question for me at the time. I don't know that I was like confident enough in myself to say that I wanted to be a CEO, but I definitely was able to say, I want to have a big executive role.
What's been like a hard slap in the face as the CEO, like a learning curve that you've had, because you're now about a year in? So what's been kind of like a, whoa, I did not expect that?
It really is twofold. I think the first thing was really how lonely it is. So I think I'm now at a spot where there really isn't a peer group here with me every day. And that was something I was really used to. And so I've had to really think through who am I using for like advice and counsel and to talk through decisions I need to make. And it's interesting because as I was preparing for this, like people told me that would be true, but actually experiencing it has been new.
I have a debate about this. Some people think
Yeah.
that it's not a lonely position, yet every CEO I talk to says there's a loneliness to the position.
Yeah.
Even if you have an amazing executive team with you,
Yep.
ultimately they look at you for certain problems or certain decisions that need to be made.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do have an amazing executive team.
What is your thoughts on like the perception of CEO, where I would think like the general public looks at CEOs and they say, oh, they're in their boardroom, out of touch,
Yeah.
only focused on money, which is true for some, of course. There's also a lot of CEOs that came from really humble beginnings and worked their tails off to get to where they are. I mean, you literally started as a barista at Starbucks, so I'm just interested in your thoughts on the perception of CEO and how you kind of take that in your own role.
Every CEO is different, but they're all humans, and they all started somewhere. Because you don't just wake up one day and end up in a boardroom. Like, you don't. That takes so many different experiences and things along the way. And like, I still see myself as like the young blonde person in a ponytail, like working really hard to pay for college, like hoping that one day I, could live in the city and afford my own rent.
How did you take your experience from Starbucks and growing that brand, and how are you putting it into the experience with Smashburger and moving forward?
In some ways, coming into this when I did, it was like getting to start with a new brand. I really appreciate our parent company because they had so much research done around the customer, the product, the menu, the marketing, how we're training people. And that really helped chart like, all right, we're really clear on the role this brand is meant to play in the JFC family, and the value we want to deliver, and like who we want to be in terms of goals. And now we have all this information to inform the pathway.
What were some of the problems and what are you guys doing about it? Tell me what some of the issues you saw were when you came in.
The brand had lost its way a little. We had used a lot of different logos. We have a lot of different looks and feels of stores out there right now. Mm-hmm. The marketing had become very focused on like promotions and driving LTO products. So our awareness of like Smashburger as a brand, who we stand for, the quality of our food, like that's not out there. But my first week, as I was going through the immersion, I really started looking at the menu and I realized we didn't say Smashburger anywhere on the menu. Mm-hmm. And that's our name. And then we actually had more chicken items on it than burgers.
Interesting.
And so we were causing confusion about who we were. And so, we've been on a journey this year to really say, like, who are we as a brand? Things had needed to get pretty functional in terms of we were doing a lot of training on what to do, but not why or what that has to do with the brand. And so made some big training investments as we came through the summer to really bring us all as a team together on where we're headed, who we are, and how important the quality and service experience are.
Do you roll your eyes at the restaurants that come out with these fancy smash burgers and they're like $20? And you're like, well, that's not really what I'm looking for in a burger either, so. And it's probably hard to compete too because they're on Instagram and then they go viral and all that stuff. Like,
I just think there's a lot we can learn from them, and I'm not trying to sell someone a $25 burger. But I will say that I think that their $25 burger is probably not as good as our $6 burger.
you should do a test with some of these places where you like go there and be like, I want to battle, burger battle.
Did you see our installations we did in New York? You know, we set up a burger made out of coins in front of the McDonald's.
I love that.
On 7th in Manhattan. And then there were coins leading you down the block to Smashburger.
Nice.
For 60 cents more, you can come in here.
I saw a social media thing where at the bottom of near a Wendy's, it was like, go this way for a better burger or something.
Yeah.
One thing that I found inspiring about Denise was that she became a CEO of this large company and she was a barista at Starbucks. It's really amazing when you think about, in so many ways, she is the American dream, because I think a lot of jobs out there that are similar to the barista, like where do you go from that? How much growth is there? But Denise, she's obviously a very driven, smart, and a person with agency. She has a lot of capacity too to be able to do stuff like that. What is your advice for someone who starts out at a lower level position at a large organization like a barista at Starbucks?
Yeah.
and then they want to have some sort of executive level position in the future. What's your advice to them?
I think first and foremost, you have to believe in yourself and know that anything's possible. And actually, I think for me, that came from like my grandma and my great aunt, because both of them were out like working in the world when women weren't really doing that.
What did they do?
Well, when my grandpa was away in the war, my grandma decided they needed more income, so she went and started working at the local liquor store, and by the time he came home, she owned it.
Oh, wow.
And she always carried herself like a working woman. Like, she was like, wear pants even if people don't. Like, have a great bag. Do your hair. Look like what you want to be. And then my great aunt every day got dressed up and went downtown into Chicago on the train and worked at a bank. I distinctly remember them both always saying, like, you can be anything you want to be. And then along the way, I think you have to look around for people that can be like leaders and mentors that you can trust and have conversations with and listen to their advice. And for me, some of those people encouraged me to take risks with my career and like take on new roles and learning experiences that, to be honest, sometimes I was worried like I'm not even gonna like doing this work, or I'm afraid to do this work, or what if I fail? That's how you gain the experience. And being able to have the reflection to think about how do I apply this in the future, I think is super important. But I would just say believe in yourself, be willing to take risks. I don't just mean like go work hard or work a lot, but be focused about what you're trying to contribute, what you're trying to learn, and how that gets you to the future you desire.
Smashburger itself, it seems like before you took over, was unfocused with their brand. So how important is focus in an executive role?
I would say it's probably one of the most important things. And it applies to so many things, like being focused about what you're trying to accomplish, and having a plan, being focused with how you spend your time. Like the further up you move, the more easy it is to get distracted. And so for me, I found like having real clarity of purpose, real clarity around like outcomes and goals is very important. And then taking the time to say, am I actually spending my time working towards those things, or am I kind of doing things all over the place?
I want to go back to your grandma.
Okay.
You mentioned that she became the owner of the liquor store. Your dad worked at a mill, and you started as a barista. So I'm just interested in kind of some formative experiences and formative things that you learned from them.
From my grandma is don't be afraid to be brave and be bold, and be yourself, because she was unapologetically herself. And then from my dad and my mom, I think I learned like work ethic, and really like setting goals and doing what you had to do to achieve them. And you know, he still says this to me today, like, hey kid, you can do anything you set your mind to. He still is somebody that I think of as a strong sounding board for giving me advice.
Thought Denise was humble. I thought she seemed focused on the role of being like the Smashburger CEO. She seemed to want to lead the company in a very positive direction for her employees, which sounds obvious, but I don't think all CEOs do that. I don't think all business leaders do that. Sometimes some are more focused on, bringing the most profits to a company. Some are more focused on growth at a certain point, at any expense. She got vulnerable at one point about talking about the decisions that she makes and how they impact people's lives. And that's a very real reality of a leader of any sort. I loved when she started talking about her grandmother and her great aunt and her parents, because they too seem to have a humble background. It made sense to who she is. And so I really loved hearing that story, because it showcases the type of person that she is. She's from south side of Chicago, or South Chicago, and she grew up a lot of ways in northern Indiana. She probably has a really great work ethic, and cares about her day-to-day professional life. So it obviously has worked out for her. So I loved hearing the stories that she was telling about her family, because it obviously was very formative for her. Is it fresh patties? Like, because you have to smash them.
Fresh, never frozen.
Never frozen. I was talking earlier to some of your team members, and like, you can't smash a frozen burger. So I was wondering, At what point does scale become problematic for quality?
I think one of the things we've talked a lot about as we looked at this menu, because there are spots where part of the changes we wanted to make is we felt like quality had slipped. Mm-hmm. And we want this brand to be known for our quality. Because I've said it a lot, and I really do believe we have the best burger. Is that so like core principle to who we are? Like we can't make decisions that won't support that. And so I do believe we can scale and have fresh, never frozen beef, but that's going to continue to make us thoughtful about how we're growing because we'll have to find local suppliers that can deliver that. The other thing we're really committed to is certified Angus beef. Now that doesn't translate as much internationally, but we've got to find the quality equivalent of that.
How much have you seen like price increases just generally with food costs going up? How much have you seen that on your bottom line where you have to like really manage?
You know, I'm very proud of our supply chain. As I came in here, I was so excited about and proud of like their expertise because their relationships with our suppliers are incredible. They've done a lot of work to really protect us against inflation and cost of goods increases, and where we need to take those increases in the interest of quality, we're absolutely willing to do it. And we can scale back other things to cover the cost of that because we're not going to compromise on quality.
In the next year,
yeah,
at the end of the year, what's like a golden goose scenario for Smashburger?
I think that we could all look at each other and say we've increased our brand awareness, we've opened some new locations in our new prototype.
What would be a target? Like, so you're at 230-ish right now. What would be like a target in a year from now? Not to put
26 more.
26 more. Is that your goal?
Yeah, 26 more.
Okay.
And really feel like we can look around here and celebrate being back in growth mode.
Yeah. What challenges come with opening that many at a time within a year?
Yeah, I mean, I think the things that come to mind are that we really make sure we open them well. At the level of like service and quality that we want to be known for. And we'll be, as we start into like these openings this year and like getting our pipeline built back up, we'll be opening with a new prototype. And so I want us to go slow enough to make sure we've learned from that and that it really is the right design for the future, but also go fast.
What is your last meal on earth you can't choose a Smashburger?
It would probably look like Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
That's one of my favorite holidays. Like
I don't like Thanksgiving dinner.
Really?
I don't dislike it. It's just I think it's like there's a reason we only have turkey once a year.
Really? I find food to be a place that it's fun to just gather with friends and family. I think that's part of what I love about being here, but I think Thanksgiving dinner brings for me like great memories. So I guess I would want to recreate that.
I like it. What is a Netflix or, streaming show that you're binging right now?
Right now, I'm like super into watching holiday movies. Like I like to do that from November 1st till Christmas Day.
I just watched the Lindsay Lohan one.
Yeah, I've watched like 3 Lindsay Lohan ones in the last 2 weeks.
The one where they know each other, but then they meet the family and they pretend not to know each other?
Yes.
I thought that was
Our
one
Little
of the,
Secret or something.
I thought it was a terrible movie.
My husband was not a fan. The better one that I really liked, she gets in like a skiing accident.
I watched that one too. That one was much better, and then she like falls in love with a new person and then realizes her life's better in this new setting than the past.
Yeah,
that was good. What song are you listening to right now?
It's interesting because I just got my Apple Music 2024 reflection. I still really like Elton John and the whole Lockdown series, and the 2 songs that I clearly still listen to a lot are Cold Hearted and the one with Miley Cyrus where they're and then I'm a big fan of Pink and Cher.
Okay.
And so that like sort of plays on repeat.
Okay.
And then I think it also was obvious that my granddaughters were around me a lot in Thanksgiving and over 4th of July. And there are 3.
Okay.
So my number 1 song, which I'm embarrassed to say, is like Little Boo Thing.
Okay. Tell me about the last time you were afraid.
I would say this. I think that, and I felt this at Starbucks in my last role there too. It's never lost on me that every day, like, I'm making decisions that impact people's lives.
It's a lot.
And so I think I I worry about that a lot, and it's on my mind a lot.
And you feel that still today, like, because
Yeah.
obviously now you're the CEO.
Yeah, it's bigger, and this is a small company, so the decisions we make are really important for this brand and for everybody that works here.
Tell me about your best friend.
I would say my husband's my best friend, for sure. Like he and I knew each other for a long time, and were friends for a long time before we even started thinking about dating. And so, there's a lot of things that we have in common that we love to do together. But he's just such a good sounding board and listener. And then I would say, like, who are my two best girlfriends? They're just really incredible humans who would do anything for anyone.
Do you want to give them a shout?
Yeah. So Amanda and Heather, I appreciate you two ladies. You are the best.
That's nice.
Amanda owns a gymnastics studio here, so she's a coach, and she's intense, and I love every moment of that, but she's one of the most, like, caring people I've ever met. And then Heather has a job in real estate and all of that, and she's awesome. But I think I jokingly like to say she always makes me laugh because she decided to settle down a little more in Nebraska, and essentially live on a farm and have, like, birds and horses and stuff.
Very
and
Nebraska.
So there's always, like, some type of animal stories happening.
Okay.
And it seems so different from how I've always known her to be. So.
Very cool. Denise, thank
Yes.
you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. Thank you for the burgers. It was really
Thank
good.
you.
I'm looking forward to the next year to see
Yeah.
how that all goes.
Keep watching us.
Yeah,
There'll
I'm
be
cheering
lots
for
to
you.
see.
I didn't find much on Denise in the beginning when we were researching Smashburger and Denise and the Smashburger CEO. Most of the stuff that I found online about her was announcements that she was going to be the CEO. This executive vice president at Starbucks was going to become the CEO of Smashburger. That was basically about it online about Denise. So I was excited just to have a conversation with her. Loved her stories that she told. I loved hearing about her Starbucks experience. Love the barista to CEO. I think it's an incredible journey. The food that we shared was really good. I thought their menu was really expansive, and I'm excited to see how they're rebranding and how this new regime of the leadership that they have, how they transform the company, because clearly they're going through a lot of changes. I think they hit the jackpot with the name. Like, I mean, Smashburgers are very popular and they have the name. I thought it was a great interview. I'm excited to see where she goes. I'm excited to see how it goes because she's only 1 year in. So we'll see. The sky's the limit, I guess. She's a 1-year vet as a CEO. It's okay. Don't worry. This is gonna make the cut. Don't worry. This is a unfiltered show. That's important to me.
Can we make my CFO really uncomfortable? Hey, Charlie, we did decide we're going to interview you instead.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
So you're the CFO of Smashburger.
Yeah.
You ready for it?
Sure, fire round it is.
All right. What are your thoughts on the presidency? This is very good, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm not,
Though I think
First time trying Smashburger.
positive review. I'm distracting you from answering, but
yeah.
yeah,
I forgot your question already.
sorry.